who are Liz Truss's anti-growth coalition? Well, the short answer of it is they're no one.
Huh?
They don't exist. They are not a thing. They are this almost ethereal enemy that the Truss campaign has created to, drum up support from Tories or people who they think will vote Tory. It is this basically pseudo-jingoistic idea that there is this group of people, this shadowy cabal, who want to take down the UK from within. It is insane. It is something that you would actually see coming out of US politics. When you see US politicians screaming about the radical left, who in US politics don't exist, and I know I have a mostly British audience, so you would know that the left in the US is like centre-right here, and this radical left does not exist. It's the similar thing here. It is this made-up ethereal enemy that the party have created basically within themselves to try and justify doing what they're doing. It is not very good, and it clearly isn't working. If you look at the poll numbers for voting intention, you can see the Conservatives are very far behind, and making up this enemy isn't going to work because most people aren't going to buy into that. You saw this in the US election in 2020. People didn't buy into it. Yes, of course, there will be a subsection of your society who will, run with whatever you say, but they're going to vote for you regardless. But in the meantime, basically creating this cabal, like I said, to be your political opponent, this anti-growth coalition who hates Britain and hates growth. It's crazy, and it's like, who is this anti-growth coalition? Because if you go off the things Truss says, like Truss saying, oh yeah, junk food is cool, is Jamie Oliver in this anti-growth coalition? I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Jamie Oliver. He seems a bit pretentious. But is he in this anti-growth coalition? The UK is just upping their, licenses for gas and oil and fracking. Does that make David Attenborough an anti-growth coalitionist because he is very much pro-green energy and he's against destroying natural wildlife? National treasure, the pride and joy of the UK, David Attenborough, is he part of this anti-growth coalition? They don't say anything. It's like the anti-growth coalition, and that, twinned with Liz Truss's just inherent lack of charisma, just doesn't help the Conservatives. And look, I'm happy nothing is helping the Conservatives, but they are in power for another year and a half, and if they spend the next year and a half, well, touch wood, they're only in power for the next year and a half. If they are in power for another year and a half and they spend all of that time fighting this created enemy that they have, they're not going to do anything for us, the British public. I mean, it's very telling from the campaign to help people, learn how they can save money this winter with their energy bills was scrapped by the Tories. That's something that would be positive. That's a positive use of your money and your time as a government, instead of going out and having speeches about the anti-growth coalition who hate the UK, who hate the Tories, who hate the values of the UK. It doesn't make sense, especially when the opposition aren't extremely left-wing. You know what? Benefit of the doubt, massive benefit of the doubt. If you had Jeremy Corbyn or Ralph Miliband leading the Labour Party, yeah, you could weasel in this idea that, those pesky socialists, they hate growth. Maybe, but you got Keir Starmer, like the reincarnation of Tony Blair, New Left Labour. It doesn't work. It is an absurd tactic that is clearly reeking of desperation from the Tories, and unfortunately, the people who will suffer the most are us, the general public, because we have a government who is so intent on just making up rubbish to try and paint themselves in a good light. instead of doing stuff to help this country in potential economic crisis. We're already in an economic crisis, but we are constantly on the precipice of a giant recession that is even bigger than the last one in 2008. And when your priority isn't fixing that and it's fighting this made-up enemy, it just spells bad news for us. And it's incredibly, incredibly short-sighted and blind of the Conservatives.